The breakthrough with the Enthrall system is that it allows a guest needing listening assistance or maybe multi-language assistance to see text captioning as an overlay to their normal vision. The text appears in the glasses, much like a fighter pilot's heads-up display, giving them the text information they need to enjoy the show or the ride. The field of view is unrestricted and the text is illuminated, so the system works well in a circle vision theater or in a dark ride, for example.
They're getting away. Unit 3, cut them off.
See, they're coming at us.
The guest desiring listening assistance enters the theater and is given Enthrall glasses or tablets. A beaconing system provides for unique text depending on the guest's location in the venue. Text can vary from lobby to pre-show to main show or scene to scene, as in a dark ride.
It gives people freedom, it gives people a choice. It gives you the ability to look wherever you want, not at a captioning device in a fixed location. You don't have to look away from the action.
You feel part of the show instead of sitting off to the side to look in a particular location to see the fixed facility captioning device.
It's very easy to use. The text, font size, and color are configurable. It's all in one, very inclusive. You feel part of the show.
The possibilities of broadening the audience, of including the audience, of serving the audience is fantastic.
The seed for Firelinks was planted in 1993 in Las Vegas, where we designed and implemented the pyrotechnic control system for the Buccaneer Bay battle at Treasure Island. A couple of weeks after the show opened, we got a call that the unthinkable had happened. 2 actors had been injured by an unattended ignition of a pyrotechnic device beneath their feet. Fortunately, they recovered, but this shouldn't have happened. I got on a plane that day, and I spent over a week in Las Vegas trying to figure out how this had happened. It turned out that the local staff had made a pair of seemingly harmless modifications, accidentally introducing a pair of ground faults. They had created an unintended electrical path through the earth that made it possible for the shot underneath of the actor's feet to go off when an intentionally commanded shot was initiated far away. We realized that this could happen to anyone. It could even happen using a modern pyrotechnic control system implemented by the best operators, completely knowledgeable about how they should be implementing the system, following the best practices of the NFPA standards. And it does happen. People in the pyrotechnic business understand that occasionally it happens, and so they just take extra care. But we knew that a system could be designed that would prevent that from happening, and it should be. So in the years since, we were many times employed to develop a wraparound control system that would add additional safeties that would augment the safeties in a commercially available pyrotechnic control system so that it could be used in close proximity to people. But we knew that those safeties should be implemented within the product itself so it would be safe out of the box. We set out to do that. We created a technical solution that eliminates the ground fault problem, eliminates the other faults that can be introduced by miswiring at the time that the system is set up. And at the same time, we joined the NFPA Technical Committee on Special Effects so that we could influence the wording of the standard to make it require the sorts of things that would keep the system safe from the beginning.
The breakthrough with the Firelinks system is that it required changing the NFPA standard, allowing us to bring to market a system that solves those safety issues. Firelinks is the only pyrotechnic control product to exceed these best practices that are now suggested by the NFPA. It's a result of a decades-long effort to both change the standards language and design a safer solution. Firelinks provides for fault checking, instantaneous electrical match continuity checks, which we trademark CrewSafe, patented wireless communication, and additional features that are not available on any other firing system. Our focus is always on safety for guests and those working in the entertainment industry, and Firelinks is a landmark step toward making a safer industry for all.
Have you ever wanted to fly like a superhero? Have you ever found yourself locked up in an asylum? Well, fear not. We have a solution to both of these problems. Introducing Flight Asylum, a non-stop flight to break out you and all your friends from the asylum. The brand new thrill ride that inverts and oscillates you as you fly to start your new life on the run. Flight Asylum incorporates springs on the back of the seats, which allow you to swing back and forth while the ride is in motion. A truly unique experience. Experience 2 Gs of force as you force your way out of the shackles of your captors. Powered by an Arduino and a 12-volt motor gear system. You'll be head over heels over 12 times. You'll soar to heights of over 600 millimeters. Opening this fall, only at UB. But be wary, if you ride for too long, you might just go insane.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Elijah.
I'm Aubrey.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Jessa. And we're the RIT theme park enthusiasts.
And this is Tiger's House. This is our ride, the Tiger Pounce. It's a drop tower kind of ride where our carriage can lift to the top, and then at the end of the ride, it will drop down. The main mechanism here is a motor, which carries a pulley drum, and we have a counterweight so that it can balance out the weight of the carriage, similar to how an elevator would work.
So this is our carriage. We have our 3D printed passengers that fit snugly in between these 3D printed dividers and the CNC'd piece of insulation foam. There's also a restraint disc that goes on top of them, and this disc can easily be removed when we load and unload the passengers. On top and bottom of this layer is 2 layers of wood, and in between these layers is a bearing track so that the carriage can spin.
Hello, I'm Spencer McMillan, and this is Investigation Drop Circle. Right near Highway 51, unusual and complex patterns have appeared in a cornfield. Investigators of the Virginia Tech Hokies have decided to take matters into their own hands to find the cause. What could be the source? A tornado? A farmer? Or something else? We'll now join the team of 5 professional investigators as they uncover this mystery.
Gee whiz, this crop circle sure is weird. I wonder what caused it.
Let's investigate by going through that entrance in the crop circle.
And so our investigators walked in a line, or queue, if you will, to find answers. The members of this team all have specialized skills in developing the Investigation Drop Circle. Each plays a vital role and takes their position incredibly seriously. Finally, the team has reached the center.
We made it to the center of the crop circle, but what's that?
I don't know, but it looks like a comfortable place to sit.
Yes, I concur. Let's sit in that comfortable place to sit.
And so our investigators decided to sit down in that comfortable place to sit. Little did they know that this would be the last place anyone would be able to relax.
What's going on?
I don't know, I'm locked in tight. It's like some sort of ratchet system was used. Hey, how about you? Are you locked in tight?
It only got worse.
That's not good.
I can't believe we're being abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I am not digging this.
Now don't you worry. They'll all dig what happens next.
Whoa! What's going on?
It seems the alien tractor beam is weakening, so we are starting to tilt and the UFO can't hold us.
Woo! We escaped! Good thing our fall was slowed by the tractor beam's magnetic and friction-based radiation.
And so our team solved the mystery of Investigation Drop Circle while narrowly and safely escaping alien abduction. How do I know the story? How did I know what would happen? Well, it's easy to know the fate of the future when you're the one behind the control panel.
Presenting the Jumbo Flying Happy Frogs by Ryder Writers, the husband and wife team of Alex and Paige Ryder. Before we show you our final model, we want to tell you about how we got to our final ride concept by prototyping with Legos. Our first concept utilized the restoring force of spring-loaded arms. Let's watch that again in slow motion. A rubber band was stretched when the black wheel rode under the red ramp, and when the wheel was released, riders were flung into the air. Our second concept replaced the rubber band and added a second arm to counterbalance the first through the use of a 4-bar linkage. The wheel now rides on top of the ramp instead of under it in order to push riders up. While we love the visuals of this design, we simplified the final concept by using counterweights instead of linked arms. We won't be showing off our final ride model today. You'll have to tune into the ride engineering competition on April 17th to see the premiere of the Jumbo Flying Happy Frogs.
So I was able to lead the thematic design team for the ISU competition. One of the members of our group came to us with the idea of combining a Ferris wheel and a drop tower. We settled on this steampunk theme with an amazing story that we came up with. The center character around our story is Dr. Tremble. He's a evil, mad steampunk scientist from the 1750s, back before even the founding of America. The scientific arch nemesis Benjamin Franklin has just discovered electricity with his kite and key experiment. So in order to one-up his scientific nemesis, he now wants to do what no other scientist has done before and send live humans, the riders, or his lab assistants, up to the sky to view lightning at its source. So we took that story and we turned that into kind of a ride sequence. So the riders will spin around our wheel as Dr. Tremble is cranking up and charging his contraption. He'll then pull out into the drop tower, which they will then be struck by lightning, which is going to be the climax of the ride. They will then fall down back into the station. So we were really in charge of the thematic direction of what the ride was going to look like. So we chose a bunch of different steampunk colors. The goal was to make this contraption look as kind of put together with many different moving parts as possible.
So our Ferris wheel is driven by a planetary gear train. So we have a 12-volt motor from Banebox operating a sprocket chain system that drives to the center sun gear. The sun gear on the backside of the Ferris wheel then operates the 4 planetary gears around it, which in turn drive the ring gear to give our guests the motion of the Ferris wheel. Our elevator serves as the drop tower section of our ride. And so that dropping motion is achieved with an elevator cup that we use to pull the gondola into. When the gondola has been engaged within that cup, we then have 2 cables that are attached to the top and bottom that are then running over pulleys on the top and bottom of the tower itself. Over those pulleys and onto the outside, we have those ropes attached to a winch drum, which is going to reel the rope in the sort of the same direction. So they're wound in opposite directions around the drum. So when we spin the drum, it'll pull one rope down and the other rope down, so they'll move in the same direction, leading to the lifting and dropping of the ride vehicle.
The controls team has been working closely with the mechanical team to ensure all systems are functioning and functioning safely on our ride. The control team consists of 2 sub-teams, the electrical and the programming teams. The electrical team has been working on circuit analysis, as well as working with programming and mechanical teams to determine the best materials for the job. For instance, after deliberation, the team decided to use an Arduino microcontroller rather than a Raspberry Pi, as its capabilities were more closely in line with what we needed to make the system run. For instance, a Raspberry Pi might have been able to connect with the internet. However, as we do not need this functionality for our ride to work, this was one of the factors that influenced our decision to select the Arduino. The programming team has been working to assemble the circuit and ensure all of the components are controllable with the code, as expected, and to the level of precision necessary for the ride to accomplish the transition between the Ferris wheel and the drop towers successfully. We have also been working with the mechanical team to develop the pacing of the ride, as well as necessary safety checks.
I had the pleasure of leading the finance team in the ISU competition, and so I collaborated with members across different teams to make sure that we had all the items we needed to be successful and to make decisions with our budget and various purchases. I analyzed different costs and compared many different factors that went into our decisions, such as the cost of the Ferris wheel as compared to the drop tower. I kept track of manufacturing and assembly time, as well as 3D printing costs. I made sure that all the teams were kind of working together.
My name is John Foltz, and I'm the leader of the safety team for TD8MD's team. As part of the risk analysis, we've been working to minimize various risks that we've associated with the project that we've created. Whether it be experiencing the attraction, viewing it, or maintaining it, we've been able to identify risks that could cause potential hazards, and we've been working to minimize these hazards using the Advantage software. I've been leading our team in the ASTM F24 compliance analysis. Throughout our project, we've been working to design our attraction to be compliant with F24 standards so that it meets those standards that would apply if we were to create the real-world attraction.
My name is Dan Fritchie. I am a 2019 mechanical engineering graduate from Iowa State. I spent my time in quarantine designing and 3D printing the world's first 3D printed launch roller coaster.
All right, let's check it out. just incredible. So where did this idea come from? How did this come to be?
From a super young age, I loved roller coasters. Playing with K'NEX and Lego roller coaster were my childhood. So 3D printing my own one was just kind of the next iteration. I remember seeing Matt Schmoser print my ride's Boomerang. It was I believe the world's first 3D printed functional roller coaster. And with my background in 3D modeling, and I knew that I wanted to do that someday. So I eventually conquered the challenge and did it myself.
Awesome. So tell me about, your engineering journey through high school and college and getting to work in the industry.
Yeah. So, ever since I was super young, I knew that I was going to be an engineer. My dad was an engineer. So from a very young age, I was instilled with the problem solving and just general engineering curiosity for how things worked. So going to Iowa State after having an engineering class in high school just really solidified my plan, and going to Iowa State, knowing that I wanted to pursue a career in the amusement industry, I was given the opportunity to intern at Premier Rides in 2018, where that was just the time of my life where I got to see the ins and outs and the background of what actually went on behind the scenes of roller coaster design, which was just the coolest thing to me. So then coming back and finishing up my time at Iowa State, you and I started the Iowa State TPEG group. Which is just an extremely rewarding experience. And I think that it's so important for kids to have that opportunity that we didn't have, to go to IAPA and ASTM and have these experiences and opportunities from their freshman year.
Tell us about the version of this launch system that you designed before going for this full-size version.
So in 2019, I made a K'NEX roller coaster that was also launched, and this was extremely important for as a stepping stone to moving on to the 3D printed one. I essentially just reused the launch mechanism that I did in the K'NEX one. I 3D modeled it and basically just miniaturized it, and it worked even better because all of the parts were custom modeled and fit together way better than K'NEX ever could.
So what does this new model have with it?
Yeah, so the 3D printed one, it's complete with station gates, drive tires, brake fins, transfer track, and obviously the launch system that retracts and launches all on the push of a button.
All right, so tell us about the train. What went into that train? How did you design it? How did you build it?
Yeah, so obviously the key to having a functional 3D printed roller coaster is having a functional train. So over about a year and a half, I think I spent kind of on and off doing different train iterations. And at the end of the day, the one that's running on the layout is the third iteration, where it has come a very long way with understanding and learning all the degrees of freedom that are needed for a functional roller coaster train.
So the structure and the track design, how did you make that and assemble it and put it all together?
Entire model and layout was designed in Fusion 360, which is very similar to SolidWorks for those who were familiar with that. But the layout was initially made in No Limits 2, which is a roller coaster simulation software. Then the layout spline was put into Fusion 360, or everything, the supports, the station, the track, the gates, brakes, everything you could think of was all modeled in Fusion 360. As all of those components were being modeled, I was able to 3D print them within a few minutes to hours after designing them, to ensure the proper fit and to make sure everything went together the way that I wanted to, the way that it was designed in the model. This was extremely important to verify design feasibility and just make sure that everything was going to work the way that I wanted it to. So after everything was 3D printed, assembly came next. I put all the supports onto a base. Everything was screwed in from the bottom, so it was all held together nice and tight. Track sections went on next, and some PTFE tubing snapped onto the track to make everything nice and smooth. And then all of the smaller things like the bungee went on, the station went on, the brakes went on, train finally went on, and then test run started after that.
Right. So tell us about the control system. What did you use, and what is it doing in order to make it operate?
So for the control system of the ride, in Arduino, tells all of the servo motors what to do and when to do it. With my very limited coding knowledge, I had it set up so that just on the push of a button, the train would cycle onto the next part of the ride. So button press, gates open, button press, drive tires, moves on to the launch track, button press, launch tracks, button press, launch, and then yeah, onto the brakes and into the station again. Cycle repeats.
Very simple system. Just hit a button and it goes.
Yep.
So if I wanted to build a model of my own at home, what should I?
Welcome back, everyone. We still have a little time left before the Q&A starts, so we just wanted to go over a couple more things. I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Jack Smith. I was here earlier today. I was on camera, but I've been behind the scenes mostly, making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. So if you were asked kindly to move to a different room, that was me. If you were unceremoniously kicked out of a room, that was Alex.
No, that was also you.
Well, maybe, but that's all right.
I'm Alex again. I helped with the interviews with Nate, and we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the Iowa theme parks right now and what's new in Iowa. I know it's a Midwestern flyover state, so most of you coasters probably never been here, but we have Adventureland, and Lost Island theme park is currently being built in Waterloo, Iowa, and it's going to be home when it opens to 3 roller coasters. One of the roller coasters is a relocation from South Africa. It's an SLC, and we believe it's going to be getting the new Intamin restraints with it. Another one is an Intamin. Or did I call that SLC?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a Vekoma ride.
Yeah.
The other one is an Intamin. It's a launched hydraulic coaster from Germany, and it's another relocation, but it's the first launch coaster in Iowa, so it'll be very cool to see. And
It is very exciting to have a hydraulic launch coaster in Iowa. I definitely did not expect that, but I will take it.
Yeah, I'll take it too, honestly.
Yeah.
As well as, it's a brand new theme park as well. So
Yeah.
There's some great pictures online you can look up.
Yeah, the concept art for it looks really well done.
Yeah.
Really well thought out. And it looks like they'll open with a good amount of flat rides, too. Some, high quality flat rides.
Mm-hmm. Again, so this will be opening in spring of 2022. So get your planners ready, get your calendars ready, because it's not very often that a new theme park really opens. And the great thing about Lost Island, too, is it's right next to the Lost Island Water Park, which has been voted one of the best in the country, especially in the Midwest. They actually have a water coaster there, which is pretty good for Iowa.
Yeah, I've never been there myself, but I've heard it's very good. I've heard very good things about it. So.
Mm-hmm. Another park that's getting a ride this year is Adventureland near Des Moines and Altoona. They're getting an SNS free spin coaster.
Yeah, it's a new model, a little bit shorter than the ones that are at most Six Flags.
Mm-hmm.
But
same model as the Joker or Batman if you've been to Fiesta, Texas. But again, it's coming to Iowa, so it's a great thing for us. It's another steel ride for us. It's replacing the Dragon, which was a Hopkins looper.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a great ride.
Yeah, well, I might be too tall for it because I'm too tall for the rest of the SNS respins, but fingers crossed that one has a different height requirement.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be a fun ride, and it's a great fit, again, for Iowa. We're not going to say no to a new ride,
Yeah. I'll take a new coaster any day.
Exactly. So one of the other things we want to talk about is outside of Iowa, and it's 2021. So these are some of the rides that you can expect to see open this year at different theme parks around the country. The first one, the biggest one, honestly, is the Marvel themed land coming to DCA out in California. This land's going to be great. It's going to be opening with the Spider-Man ride, which is going to be basically, I've been told that it's kind of like Buzz Lightyear, but instead of a blaster, you're using your hand to spit webs. It's going to be a pretty cool ride from what I've heard, and the land is themed very beautifully as well. Another thing that actually just opened is the Secret Life of Pets Dark Ride out in Universal Studios Hollywood, which is, again, based off that movie. It's basically a retelling, but it's a really good ride for kids. You know, it's a really good tracked ride.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much about either of those two rides, but based on the little I have seen, they both look very good. So that's exciting.
Another coaster we expect to open this year is the Iron Gwazi coaster. Of course, this was supposed to open in 2020, but that's been pushed back because of COVID and monetary-related conflicts. But last year for spring break, right before COVID hit, I got the opportunity to go down to Tampa and actually saw the coaster test, but you know, I didn't get to ride it because it hadn't opened yet, and it still hasn't.
Yeah, it does look very exciting, though. It looks like it'll be pretty good.
I agree.
I'm partial to those RMC lift hills where it's not made out of wood, it's made out of steel with just that like one support beam.
Yeah.
I just think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I really love those lift hills. Another coaster we've got opening up pretty soon is the Velocicoaster down in Universal Studios Orlando. That's going to be a cool ride. The pre-show for it, or the before you launch out of the tunnel, I've heard is going to be a really cool experience.
Yeah, the theming looks really good for that ride.
I've heard that when you crest over the top hat, you can actually see Epcot from the top of so be looking out for the Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
So that'll be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I was at Universal recently in December, and I got the chance to see it, and it looks good. I wish I could have rode it then, but oh well.
Yeah, that's really cool. Something that's coming to New Jersey is the Jersey Devil Coaster. It's a single rail ride, much like the two clones, and I think what's the one opening up in Silverwood called again?
Pilot, I believe.
Stunt Pilot. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger version of those clones. It'll be pretty cool to see how it operates, because I think that the two that are open right now, I think they have 2 trains on them. I don't know if Jersey Devil will be able to run 3 trains.
I think it's running 3. I'm not positive though.
Yeah, it's definitely needed though with that coaster when you're one each person in a row.
And I think the trains are longer too,
Mhm.
so I think there'll be even more airtime in the back row.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be a cool ride. Again, we've got Stunt Pilot coming to Silverwood. It's an Idaho theme park. They have one of those giant inverted Vekoma boomerangs. Those are very rare, but I've heard they're very good depending on the park you go to. Another big one coming to Busch Gardens Williamsburg is Pantheon. It's an Intamin launch coaster. The defining feature of this is the giant spike at the end. I think it'll go over 300 feet or something like that. But it'll be pretty cool. 72 miles per hour, 3,300 feet of track.
Yeah, and the Outer Bank on that looks very good.
Yeah. It's definitely a unique ride, and I think it'll fit very, very well at this park.
I think so too.
Icebreaker is another one coming to another Busch Garden park, but it's actually a SeaWorld park. SeaWorld Orlando will be getting this. It's a premierized skyrocket launch coaster. And it's going to be 93 feet tall with a beyond vertical 100-degree spike track. It's kind of interesting that like Icebreaker and Pantheon both have a spike in them, but one's made by Intamin, the other's made by Premier.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting how both the companies kind of
there are some
took those
parallels
ideas
between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only other place other than the old Schwarzkopf loopers I've seen it is on Hagrid's. They have the spike and then you go backwards for a while. But it'll be cool to see more of these elements come to more rides.
Yeah, there are definitely a couple more, but they're scattered all around. So, yeah, they're not very common.
Another one that's coming, you could call it coaster, you could call it not. It doesn't matter. Aquaman Power Wave launch shuttle coaster in Six Flags Over Texas. It's a Mack Power Splash. I think this is the one that was supposed to go to Six Flags Dubai before it got canceled. And then Six Flags decided to move it to Texas. So it'll be a great ride for them, and I think it'll be a great fit in the park as well.
Yeah, I've never had the opportunity to ride a Power Splash, but they look
me
to be
neither.
a very good combination of both a coaster and a water ride.
I agree. It looks great. It kind of reminds me of those rides that Cedar Fair has at their parks that, you get in, it's like a surfboard sometimes. It's usually in the Snoopy areas.
Yeah.
But it's a water ride for them, so it'll be really cool. And I'm excited for this eventually to get down there. Another big one, I keep overlooking this one, but it's the dive coaster coming to San Diego.
Yeah, this ride doesn't get as much media attention as you
No,
would expect.
it doesn't, but it's sure to be a really cool ride. And I think it's the first dive coaster on the West Coast. So, it'll be nice for those people living in, California or Nevada to finally, have a coaster out there.
Yeah.
That's the dive coaster. I know a lot of people call them one-trick ponies, but I've been on Valraven. I've been on the two at the different Busch Gardens parks, and I enjoy them a lot personally.
Yeah, I've also been on Valraven and Sheepground. Both of them are good.
Yeah, I agree. They're both great ride models. Another one opening at Disney World's Epcot is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure Dark Ride. I've been fortunate enough to ride the one in Paris, and I say it's a very good ride. But of course, the ride there is in French, so you can't really understand what's going on.
Yeah, I personally do not speak French.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But it's cool that we're getting this in America now, and it's coming to the France Pavilion. I'm really excited for more rides to be coming to Epcot because it's something that's very needed at this point.
Yeah, I have not seen anything about this ride, so I will have to look into that more in the future.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a dark ride also mixed with screens, but there's no 3D glasses, which is great because I'm more like the 2D experience, or kind of
the 3D glasses add something to it. Yeah,
I agree. And then Legoland New York is going to be opening in 2021. I honestly haven't heard much about this. I've been to the Legoland near Chicago before. It was a pretty fun experience for me. Have you been to any Legolands before?
I have not. I did not know there was another one opening.
Yeah, I think they have one in Florida as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a few other ones across the country. Again, you don't really hear about these very much.
Yeah, most of my feed has been comprised of Velocicoaster and Pantheon. So
Yeah.
I have not seen that much else.
I know the one down in Florida is like getting a Peppa Pig area or something like that.
Yeah, I have not heard that at all.
It'll be interesting. It'll have some fly rides in
Yeah.
it. Let's see something else. Lego Movie World coming to Legoland, California. Again, I don't really hear much about the Lego.
No,
It usually just gets brushed under the rug. I wish more people would talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Harmonious this year, if Disney's going to at any point allow fireworks, I'm assuming by October, by the 50th celebration, they'll definitely start the fireworks back up again.
Yeah.
Right now, they're not doing it because of a cost-saving measure. I don't really think it has to do with COVID anymore, to be honest. But yeah, it'll be cool to see what they come up with. They've already, sent all of the barges out to the middle of World Showcase. It kind of obstructs your view, but we'll see what happens when it opens. You got to be optimistic about it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll look good.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a good show,
Yeah.
and I am excited for what Disney does with it. And then something else opening this year, is supposed to open last year, is the Snake River Expedition riverboat ride at Cedar Point, and that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Apparently, they used to have that in the past.
Yeah, I remember seeing stuff about this last year, but I haven't seen much about it this year.
Yeah, hopefully they open it up. I'm going to be going in June, so hopefully it'll be open by then and I can kind of experience it. It kind of goes around that lagoon, so I think it goes under Millennium Force or something.
I think so too. Yeah, it looks good from what I remember.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a really good ride.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be a more tame ride.
Yeah,
that's good because Cedar Point has a lot of throw rides, so
I agree.
Round out the collection a little bit.
And the thing is too, a lot of people don't realize about Cedar Point is yes, they have a lot of good thrill rides, but I think they also have the most family / flat rides of any other park as well.
They do.
So
yeah.
they actually have a lot of variety, even though they have so many thrill rides.
That's true. They just have so many rides in general.
Yeah.
Some of the smaller ones just get swept under the rug.
Yeah, I agree. Cedar Point's just great. Knott's Berry Farm is getting a 4D dark ride. That's a shooter. That'll be cool. It's called Knott's Berry Tales. Return to the Fair 4D. So
Yeah,
that looks pretty cool. I've never been to Knott's Berry Farm, but it should be cool.
Yeah, the 4D like kind of shooting rides are always
Mhm.
interesting, fun to ride.
So that's going to wrap up our Fireside chat for today. Thank you guys for joining us. And now we're going to get to the awards. Nope. Q&A session. Q&A
Yep.
session. Sorry about that. I'm jumping the gun. All right. So thank you very much for joining us for this Fireside chat, and I hope you learned something.
Yep, and stick around for the awards.